Hi, my name is Mack Jackson Jr. I'm from Vanderson Cyber Group, and I have a show called Cybersecurity Awareness TV. I'm here on Business Fumbles, and I'm here with Sheila Williams. Thank you, Sheila, for the introduction.
All right.
Thank you for coming, Mac.
Yes.
All right. So it is very, very great that you were able to come in here because we're going to give our listeners something that they need. Okay. Being in the business world, fraud is on the it is on the rise, right?
Yes, it is.
Fraud is everywhere. But see, we have an expert here that deals with hackers. He knows how they mind work. So we're going to go just like get right into it. Mac, why don't you tell them a little bit about what you do and, about who you are and
Sure.
your work.
Sure, absolutely. I'm a Las Vegas native, born and raised here. Love my city, love my town. I've been in programming now and hacking for about 30 years. Started way back in the day before the technology expanded. I started back when programmers had to code every piece of malware and virus.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, all malware have been created already and exist. All you have to do is purchase it and buy it. That's the scary part.
Oh, wow.
So what my company does, that we work with businesses and law enforcement to help mitigate the damages of cyber crimes and hacking and fraud.
Yeah. And I know that you have lived through some of the worst of them.
Yes.
Because I know that you knew and was involved with the hacking of the hospitals. You knew a lot about this recent thing with the airline.
Yes.
The car dealerships.
Yes. Airline, car dealerships.
So let's talk about that.
Sure.
How when things like that happen, how does that affect the consumers? How does it really affect us when things like that go down? Because sometimes, we get emails that say that our information is compromised and things like that. We just go past it and say, whatever. Tell us, how does that affect us?
Sheila, it's like being robbed by an invisible thief. If you're walking on the street and someone pulls a gun on you, you see who that person is. You can call the police and report who that person was. You could even pull out your own gun and protect yourself because you see the person.
Yes.
But when it comes to cyber thieves and fraudsters, they're using technology and they're invisible. You can't see them. You don't know who they are. And our society right now, we have a society that is a society of transfer of risk that we call them from my law school days. We call it transfer of risk, where you blame someone else. So if you get your credit card stolen, you're going to say, well, it's the bank's fault. They need to help me get my money back. If you go to a grocery store, well, it's the grocery store's fault. My ID got stolen. We have to take our own responsibility and protect ourselves, just like we're walking down the street and not getting robbed. By protecting our identity and protecting our data assets and not let these bad guys have access to our information. And now with social media, we're willingly giving information to these companies, advertising agencies, data brokers, and that puts us out there into our information out there and making us more vulnerable to be exploited.
Well, what you said was very, very interesting, but if they're invisible, we don't know that they're there. So how are we going to protect ourselves? We don't know that they're after us. So what are some of our behaviors that's making it easier for these invisible people to take our stuff?
Sure. We have to know where our data is stored and who we're giving it to, and not giving it to anybody that's out there. Even the good people, like, for example, advertising agencies, they'll tell you, they'll give you 15, 20% off a certain purchase if you tell them what high school you went to. And or any other personal information about yourself. And people give that information away because they want that discount on a certain item that they purchase. We shouldn't do that. We shouldn't fill out forms and disclose information about our family, where we work at, who we are.
Yeah. I've never had a marketing person ask me anything personal. I get weary when you start to ask me about personal information, like, oh, what did you say your mother's name? It's like, what? I ain't saying nothing about my mama. What you talking about?
I feel like it's so prevalent in malls nowadays too.
Yes,
with
there
like,
you go. That's where
like
it's
a lot of promos for sales or anything
That's
like that.
it.
They're like, all you have to do is just answer a couple questions, answer a query on the email that I'm going to send you right now, and you get 80% off or something like that. Like, they'll do that. I say this because I just went to the outlet yesterday and I bought a pair of shoes, and they were just like, he's like, oh, you don't want to do the buy two, get one free or whatever it is?
Sure.
And I was like, oh, sure. Well, I mean, what do I have to do? He's like, well, you also have to sign up for like a newsletter.
There you go.
And there's a query. And I was like, I'll pay
Right.
full price for the pair of shoes. It's fine. No big
Exactly.
deal. And stuff like that. But
And so they get that information and they're actually selling
Yeah, so
it?
legally, so the point of all this, Sheila, is where this information is coming from. And legally, there's companies out there called data brokers, right? Data brokers. And Sheila, they have information on you and everyone here in our podcast that can disclose what your phone number was when you were 8 years old and what your parents' income was at that time. Why would they need that information? And if they do have that information, where's your check? Why are you being paid for it? You're not being paid for it.
Well, why do they have it?
Well, we always say in the industry, if it is free, you are the product.
Yep, 100%.
If it's free, you're the product. So basically, the consumers are the product. So what they'll do is they will have a database where they compile all this information about us, right? And then they sell it to advertisers that are trying to get you to buy additional products. But what these data brokers don't know is that sometimes when they sell information, they could sell information to other hackers or other scammers. So now the scammers and hackers, they don't necessarily have to go in and try to attack you individually. They'll just go and buy the data from the data brokers who legally collected all the data and information for marketing purposes. But the bad guys have the data for exploitation purposes. And they'll take it and exploit. So then they'll get that information and they'll do things as brazen as call consumers on the phone and ask them for additional information, trying to and pretending to be from their, let's say, bank account. I have a client that I'm seeing this afternoon that's gone through that. They thought it was Chase calling them for information. And they had half of their data to prove who they were, so it sounded legitimate. She knew they knew her mother's maiden name. They had the last 4 digits of Social Security number. They had the complete Social Security number, just the last 4 digits. Right. And she thought, okay, this is Chase calling me. And they were wanting her to change her password on her account. And she almost did it, but she remembered one of my articles I wrote. Call them, tell them you'll call them back. And she was, no, I'll call you back. And the guy was on the phone like, no, I'm managing your account right now. I'm here to handle it. And she's like, wait a minute, this doesn't sound right. So she hung up, and when she called back Chase, they did go in and change her password and her email address. So she got her accounts changed over, and again, transfer of risk. So, but she took the responsibility to do it, right? By if you get a call from anybody, IRS or anybody, you tell them, thank you very much, I'll call you right back. Tell them you're busy, tell them you got something to do. You call them back and say, did you just call me?
IRS ain't gonna call you. So I'm gonna make that clear.
But think about that.
I know that. They not gonna call you. IRS.
Think how bad that is. We have technology now. The IRS should be able to call us because it's a regular communication. But because of the fraud that's going out there, now the IRS can't call you.
No, they never called you.
But
from a long ago, the IRS, like we were just talking about how certain people that get businesses, they start off. And then we just had this conversation. I'm going to explain it to you. They start off, like the little lowly people, okay? And then they build and they build and they build. And once they get past, I made 500,000, I made $1 million. So now it's almost like you're unreachable to the people that you came up with. And now it requires, I'm too busy. I don't have that. And so, I pray on a daily basis. I'm never there. But see, the IRS, I'm going to be honest with you, the IRS is past that. Okay? They feel like you ain't even worthy to say hi to them. So they not going to call you. They never was going to call you. You going to reach out to them. Because if you don't reach out to them, they just going to take all your stuff. Because they can do it. They got the authority to do it. So if a person has that much authority, what kings and queens are you running around seeing them chasing you down like, hi, Hi, I want to sit down with you. No,
Right.
You're going to go through the middleman to get to them or whatever. And that's how the IRS is. They're never going to call you, and I do understand that when they do call you,
Mm-hmm.
they do get calls or whatever. It looks like it's legit,
Right.
because the number will have IRS attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the letters that come out, it's like crazy.
Yeah.
But I want to explain to you what happened within our house, our office here.
Mm-hmm.
We got a call, and it was from the electric company.
Mm-hmm.
So they said that they were going to turn off our lights here because we hadn't made the payment.
Mm-hmm.
So my manager is on the phone, and she's like, "What are you talking about? We didn't make the payment. We on auto pay." So he said, "Well, you had a bill," and he told us the exact amount of the bill,
Mm-hmm.
right? So she's on the phone and she's talking to him, and so I am the type that when I am engulfed in work, everything else around me does not exist.
Mm-hmm.
So if you ask me a question, I will say, yeah, and I don't know what I'm saying yeah to. I
Sure,
don't know
sure.
how to answer, but she has
Mm-hmm.
figured me out, because a couple of times I did that and the employee did it. And then when it went back to her, she's like, "Why did you do that? You can't do that." Well, I asked, Sheila, and she said, okay. And she's like, "Was she working?" And she was like, "Yeah." She didn't mean no. Now we got to fix this, And so I'm on the phone and I'm like, I'm working or whatever. And I was like, "Yeah, just pay it, And so then she's like, "But I know that we're on auto pay, And I was like, yeah, whatever. So I'm working and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Then I hear her say, "Okay, here's the account number." And she's given the account number. And so then he said, "Okay, can you give me the routing number again?"
Mm-hmm.
And then it clicked. And I stopped and I said, "Wait a minute. What are we doing?" She said, "They're going to turn off the lights." And I said, "How much do we owe?" And she said, like $90-something. I said, "They're going to turn off the lights for $90-something?" I was like, "Hold on." And I logged into the bank and I looked at it and I was like, "Tell him to hold on." So she said, "Okay, hold on." And she put him on mute. And I took my other phone and I called the electric company. They said, "That's not us." I said, "I know that it's not you, but the information that they are privy to, it has to be an employee in your facility or that works for your company that has access to that. And I want you to find out who's doing it." And so at that point, Amber got back on the phone with him and said, "We're on the phone with the electric company," and he hung up.
Yep.
But some of the information that he had privy to, I told Amber, he has to be someone that works, because sometimes it could be an inside job.
Mm-hmm.
These people are working for these companies. They're getting paid and they're gathering information and they're selling your information too.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you can figure that out, because some of the stuff that they have, it doesn't make sense. It wouldn't be, it wouldn't be out there like that. They're not going to sell that kind of information.
True. That information is out there. So you have the insider threat, like you mentioned, insider threat. You have the data brokers and the hackers. So that's 3 areas. If you can gather all that information and link it by social security number or phone number or an address, now you're building this profile that you can turn around and sell or exploit. And that's what these guys are doing. But there's a way to stop that. There are new laws that are out right now against data brokers, right? Federal government have passed laws that consumers have the right now, because of GDPR. It's a European law that's now over in the US as well, that this consumer can say to the merchant, "Remove me from your database," but they have to prove it. So
How
if
do they
call
prove
them,
it?
They have to send a letter. They'll send you a letter back saying that your information has been removed from our databases. Now you have this letter stating that. And if they don't do it, they could be fined millions
But what
of
about
dollars.
the hospitals and things like that?
Now,
because-
those are governed under other laws like HIPAA laws, and SOX and other federal regulations. And
But even
statutes.
though that they have that, but we just recently had something that shut down, the computer. How does...
that was with ransomware, and that's different. How that works is they would try to use phishing exercises or spear phishing exercises to focus in on one particular employee of an organization, right? And get that employee to unknowingly click on a link.
Okay.
And once they do that, then malware can save or save itself on the server, lock up the machines.
Mm-hmm.
And when the machines are locked up, I'll send you what one of the malware screens look like. It's very, very intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
It's red. It pops up stating that your data has been encrypted. You can't move unless you call this 1-800 number. That's how brazen these bad guys are. They have an 800 number customer service that you call them and say, hi, we're the blah, blah, blah hospital. Our system's locked up. What's going on? And they'll say, we understand. Send us 1.2 million or whatever they want to get a code to get your data back. So now you're negotiating with these bad guys.
Yeah, but somebody, who did they do that to? Was it the airline? It was somewhere, but they wouldn't pay it.
Oh, lots of companies don't pay.
MGM. You're talking about MGM.
Yeah, they wouldn't pay it.
Yeah.
Yep. MGM
didn't pay, but
Yeah.
Caesars did.
Caesars did.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which was wrong because now that was like an advertising promotional for other bad guys.
Yeah.
So this is what these let's go back to Caesars real quickly here. Once a ransom is paid, now you have the bad guys have a blueprint of how they did it, step by step, right?
Mm-hmm.
They can take that blueprint, go in the darknet, and sell it to other bad guys and say, you know what? Here's how we hit this large corporation, Caesar's Palace. You could use this to hit maybe Dottie's or maybe a smaller casino, maybe a smaller business casino in the rural areas of Nevada or in the gaming industry. This is the blueprint. And then the bad guys, in other words, amongst thieves, they'll sell that blueprint of how they did it. That's what. That's where it gets bad at. So selling it or paying the ransom is not a good idea. But prevention and education and training is necessary and needed.
Yeah. You know, you've been in this industry for a long time. I've been knowing you since, 2009 we met?
2008.
Yeah.
I remember that.
So I've been knowing him a long time, and I met him at the company I was working for.
Wow.
It was a hot mess, but he had came in,
Yes.
and we were, me and him started working together, and we've been friends ever since because
Yes.
when we were working there, I was the one, when they were setting it up, remember, I was the one who was like, well, IT has to be involved.
Right.
Yeah, this department has to be involved. You can't do that without this department.
Right.
And he was laughing like, man, she's on it. Like, this girl is. But being in the industry and it's seeing that it is like on the rise. So many people are, being hit. You were just telling me how you were trying to protect the car dealerships and they didn't go for it, and then just recently they were hit. There's not a lot of people out there really protecting themselves, right?
True, because now that's interesting. So the auto dealerships, they were hit with ransomware, and it shut down 15,000 dealerships across the country because of third-party vendors. So that means that you're a business locally here in Las Vegas, but you're connected to a computer system, like a customer relationship management system, that's a third party. And all these dealerships around the country are connected to that same centralized CRM system. And when they get struck or hit, it affects everybody. Now, it could be the same. So let's give you another example. Let's say it's, God forbid, QuickBooks, Intuit,
Yes.
right? If they get struck, think about everybody's connected to QuickBooks.
QuickBooks, yeah.
iCloud, Dropbox.
I have iCloud.
All of those companies,
Yeah.
if they get struck. So we're depending upon these third-party vendors to protect our data.
Yeah.
And that's where legislation's out and regulations are out, that these third-party vendors, they have to make sure they have proper procedures put in.
Yeah.
The $1 million databases, the IT
Yeah.
teams to protect our data, because if it doesn't, we're all stuck.
Yeah, I had to do it, because I have a lot of people's data.
Yeah.
And so I know that a lot of people, especially like my IT, they want me to go from no paper to scanning that and doing it that. And I haven't done that because I don't trust it.
Yeah, gotta have the
Because
locks.
now you're having it on this drive, allowing someone to try to keep trying to get into it.
Who's going to
Now I don't have that, it's in my drawer and I have to pull it. And you came in and I had to change my, cabinets where it had to be, locked. So it had to be secure. There was a lot of changes that I had to make. And I know that it's costly, but it just seems like your industry should be booming. And it's not, because people are not protecting themselves. They're calling you after the fact. And when you call after the fact, it's still costly, but it's not as costly as it would have been if they would have been protecting themselves all along.
True.
Because I have to have IT. And I think I told you this story. When my son had the accident, I had to travel. And I was going back and forth to the hospital because he was in a coma and everything. But I still had to work. And so what I would do was I would log in through their cloud thing, and I would log into their computer. So I was going remotely from my computer to their computer.
Sure.
And when I was there, I'm at my son's house and I'm trying to work and I was trying to do payroll. Then all of a sudden, my computer just went completely black. And I'm like, huh? And then I'm working and then I get this hand, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? And so I hung up and I called my IT people. And I said, my screen is black. And I got this hand up here talking about something. No. What they talking about? Because it's yes. It's my computer. And she said, no, that's us. You got a virus. And they're trying to steal all of your data. So we locked it down. So then I was just like, huh? And she says, yes, it's going to take us a few hours. So I lost a lot of time because now it took them, they had to not only wipe mines, but they had to wipe every computer that She Wins owns that was under their umbrella. So they had to wipe all of that. And then 2 hours later, it was 2 or 3 hours later, she called me and she says, you're good. But guess what else she did? She sent me the report telling me where I got it from, where the desktop was located, what type of virus it was. She gave me all of that. So I called my client and he says to me immediately, you gave us a virus and now we're shut down. And I said, well, actually, my IT people want to talk to your IT people because you gave it to me. And she has the report and she wants to talk to your people right now because you could have breached my data. So when she got on with their IT, I don't know what happened because she said, what's the email? She emailed them something. And then they were calling me like, who's these IT people you using? Now they want to use my IT people, So I think it's very, very important.
Transfer of risk.
Right.
I was about to say, you said it earlier.
Yeah.
Transfer of risk.
Transfer of risk, right.
Yeah. Blame the other people for it.
But I really think that it's important for us to discuss now why it's important for them to do it in the beginning, not wait until these things hit and you got somebody else trying to tell you, oh, we locked all your stuff. And in order for you to get it, you're going to pay us this amount.
Right. They'll do that. They'll lock it up and have you pay for it. What we're suggesting in the cybersecurity world is for clients to have more than just a backup plan, but a fire drill. So you just said that in that operation that you went through, it took 2 hours. They locked it down. All that is a good case study for your business. How long will it take to recover if you had one of those? So if it happened again. So it may be a good conversation with your IT or MSP is to say, okay, can we do a reconstruction of my situation if we had a cyber attack, if we had a ransomware attack? How long will it take us to be back up and running? So now you know.
Yeah.
And you're prepared for it. Like I tell my clients in Texas, I just got back from Texas, and they believe in their guns down there, right? And we all have our Glocks and our firearms, our fire weapons. It means nothing if you don't practice how to use it. And you have to practice how to use it. Same thing when it comes to these cyber attacks. You have to practice on what happens if the office shuts down or if this company that you said called in and said you owe this money for your power bill,
Yeah.
and they were able to steal your data. How long will it take you to recover? So
Mm-hmm.
you have these step-by-steps of what to do. Because usually what we do is go say, like you just said, call our IT team. Hey, what's going on? In the future, it's going to be, oh, yeah, really? No problem. We'll just do this particular steps. We'll contact the police, and we'll be back up and running. We're back up and running much faster.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what they're relying on, people who are not ready for this. So, for example, back to your example, the hospital, what happened with them is that they said, look, we can't pay this $1.5 million. So they actually negotiated with the hackers, right? The hacker said, send us your financials. We want to see your financials to see if
And
you
they
have the
sent
money.
them?
They sent them the financials.
What
And
idiot?
then
I
24
think
hours
that's worse
later,
than MGM. Oh no, Caesars. That's worse than Caesars.
Right.
yeah. So the hackers, they called them back and said, okay, we're looking at your financials, and you're right. You guys can't pay for 1.5. We'll want 750,000. They said, fine, give us back. We can't do triage. We can't see our patients. We got people in the hospitals here. And also, Sheila, there is a service called hacking as a service with the hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is, let's say you have a patient in the hospital that you wish to eliminate. You could actually get the hackers to find out what hospital they're in, because a lot of these hospitals, they have their insulin pumps and IV machines connected to the internet. So now the hackers can target a patient and say, that person, we're going to take that person out. And they can do that. So, and they pay for this stuff. So that's why the hospitals are saying, hey, let's just pay it, get our data back. And then they go back to IT and say, you know what, do a better backup, make it so we can't lose our data again, and they'll do it. IT will bring them back up and running. But all it takes is one person in the office, right, in admissions to maybe click on a funny photo or a video of a cat video or something they saw on TikTok. Oh, that's cute. And click on it and bang, it's shut down the whole system. So they have to train their employees not to use the machines.
And they I think that now in most jobs they have it, because I have it, that you can't go to certain websites, while you're here, but my company is small, so it's so small.
Well, the problem with hospitals, they stand not just the most risk for danger because they have lives on the line and they need their machines to work. Because of that same thing, they try to mitigate risk by using tried and true methods. A lot of their computers are on like Windows XP from 2002.
Yeah.
What?
Because they won't update, because if, God forbid, there's a glitch with a new Windows 11 thing, that's someone's life on the line that's depending on that machine. They're like, we know it works within Windows XP. We're going to leave it that way. That stays that way. That is now a security risk because we've worked with Windows XP for 20 years now.
Yeah.
The hackers know that thing
They
inside
know it,
and out.
yeah.
So they stand the most to be broken into because
True.
of the technology that they use. But yeah, I've heard that as a huge problem with them.
Yeah, I had a client that was a doctor's office, and our IT people told them, because they had the older model, you need to update, and he didn't want to update.
Yep.
And she's like, well, I can only protect you, this amount versus this amount, because everything is nothing dated, and now all of the software is updated to a higher a higher Microsoft thing.
And that used to be a problem too, Sheila, with ATM machines. A lot of the ATM machines had old Windows 97 on them, because they're ATM machines, and the banks and financial institutions are saying, just ATM machines. We're not going to put a fancy computer there. So they have the old system. And there were all kinds of hacks going on with that. Hacks that were so prevalent, when a customer would come and use their card and ask for $40 out, the bad guys would end up taking $400 out. But your receipt would show 40 because of the old computers. Oh, and matter of fact, I'll share this one with you. Just got an alert a couple days ago. There's a new hack with the tap to pay.
NFC?
Oh, yeah.
Tap to pay, yeah. So there will be a scammer involved who would go up to an ATM machine and take super glue and glue the actual duck lips where you put your card in. I call it duck lips. Where you put your debit card or credit card in, they'll glue it shut, so you can't use it. So the scammer stands behind the customer and says, wow, what's going on? I can't get my card in. Well, just use your tap. So then the person in front of the victim taps it and takes their money out, right? But when they turn around and walk away, they don't stand there and watch that machine where the session ends.
Right.
The session is still open. So now the scammer's behind them, and they'll go back and say, okay, what's my balance? Oh, let me take out the rest of this and take money out of their account.
That's crazy.
Wow.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, yeah. It's a
Yeah,
big
you never think about I'm telling you, I just got, I told you with the trademarking, I just got hit, and it was just that quick because I wasn't thinking, I was busy. And, so it can happen, but we have to, I'm an advocate about, when you're running your business, slowing down. We're just so quick to make decisions because we're in the day-to-day hustle.
That's right.
We are just so busy. We're coming to work, and then we have other stuff to do. If you got kids, you got to go home. You got to take care of your kids. You got, you got your husband, or you got your boyfriend, whatever the situation is. Our lives are so busy.
Right.
And I feel that what's needed is when it comes to making a decision, we need to slow down.
Yeah,
we really need to slow down and think about what it is that we're doing. Because if we don't slow down and think about what we're doing, this is going to get more and more prevalent. Okay, right now, you can't even, really, people, you can't really rely on money orders.
Right.
Because now money orders are fraudulent.
Yeah.
They're making fake money orders.
I'm completely out of this. What do you mean?
Oh, yeah. They're making complete false money orders.
Yep.
Like they will send you a money order to pay something that's $1,000. You go put it in your bank, and then the bank will come back and tell you that is fraudulent.
Yep.
They know how to create the money orders and put what's on there to prolong things, and they're paying for these things with a fake, a money order is like cash, but it's fake.
It's easy to do.
Then
with
you
printers.
have,
I didn't know that.
Color printers, you can do.
Yeah. And then on
I
top
never
of that, they offer you these jobs, and they pay you with these fake money orders.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or they tell you, I'm going to give you a check, and you take the check and you put it in your bank so that they could clear it, and then they wipe your bank out.
Right.
So nothing. They could give you a fake check. They can give you a fake money order. Even like with the apartment buildings here, they won't even accept money orders. You have to go get a cashier's check from a bank.
Yes.
And now we're moving into the type of society where they're trying to almost eliminate you going inside the bank.
Right.
Yeah.
Because now you could deposit a check on your phone.
Take a picture of it.
And take a picture of it, and you can put it into your bank. Okay, so if you're needing a cashier's check, let's talk about it. Let's think about it. And now they're creating all of these ways where you don't actually need a physical bank location.
Correct.
What are you going to do? This is the kind of stuff that's going on.
Yes.
And I just feel like we have to come to a point, and we have to stop, and then we have to think. I always get hit up all the time on my social media accounts. And I talk to people here, and I talk to friends or whatever. And sometimes I get the messages, and most of the time it's all the time the man. And they'll just say, hey, how you doing, or whatever. And so when they hit me up, I know in my mind, because I always say this, I was like, they think I got money. And then they think I got low self-esteem because I got weight. And then, my family's like,
oh, you're saying
what?
You're getting men throwing themselves in your DMs and stuff like that.
And I know that it's they're trying to set up where they can, get money out of you. And the way that they do it, listen, Tim, is like real.
No, I've heard this.
They try to make you feel like they are the ones that got the money.
Right.
Like we're going to take you out. Like I seen on the news where the guy, he met the older woman that was, her husband had died. So now she's like instantly a millionaire because she got all of this money.
Yes.
He hit her up and she was lonely. She was talking to him and he says, I'm going to send you a plane to fly you out here so
Romance
that we
scams.
can eat.
I've
And-
heard
yeah.
of that. Yeah.
And then he flown her out and she felt like he had the money.
Mm-hmm.
And then they talked he came, to the States and then she went over there a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
By the time it was 6 months in, he was like, hey, I have a problem. Can you send me $500,000 to do this? And she was sending it because she felt like they were in a relationship.
He's not going nowhere.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, like that's what's going on. And one guy, he was just like, I was like, okay, let me see what this is all about. And I'm like hitting back, I ain't say nothing or whatever. And we going back and forth. And he said he was a doctor over into the things. And I was like, oh, interesting. That's fine. Like that's cool. Well, what do you do? Oh, I'm just working, So did you really want something? Because this is my business account. I was just trying to see what was going on. Oh, I just felt like you were really beautiful and I wanted to talk to you or whatever. And I said, really? Well, what's so beautiful about me? Is it my skin? Is it my eyes? I just want to know why am I so beautiful to you?
You're like reverse
And
dating
then,
him.
yeah. And so then he was like, oh, it was everything about you. I like the way that you carry yourself. I looked at your videos and you speak so well and all of that. And I was like, oh, okay. So listen here, dude. And I just flat out told him, I was like, you're not going to get nothing from me. I'm married. I'm happily married. Right. And, even if I wasn't married, my self-esteem would not be that low where I would even, I wouldn't even like entertain you individually.
Yeah.
Okay. So I got nothing to give you. You're not going to get no money from me. And so he immediately come back. I wasn't trying to get no money from you. I said, well, then what was you contacting me for? Because I know you ain't no doctor. And I know that this picture that's on your thing is not even you.
Yeah.
So, and it's like, I did that just to get the information. This is what they do.
Part of social engineering, it's called. That was a social engineering attack. And there's actually training programs with the hackers. Just like you and I teach business classes, right, for people? The hackers, they have Zoom meetings and weekly meetings and monthly meetings, training exercises on how to social engineer. So that fool, I'm going to call him, that talked to you, was probably one of the fools in one of these classes, scammer classes, and they're going through how to manipulate the human, how to manipulate individual, ask her questions about herself, make her feel comfortable with you. There's training for that, to manipulate.
Well, if you're going to go through training, why don't you just get a job, bum?
Because they work so hard to not work. That is
Yes.
literally what this like era is with the information age and stuff like that.
Have you seen a movie on Netflix called Beekeeper?
Yes.
Why is everyone telling me about this movie?
Oh my
Like
God.
3
Listen.
references.
I cannot see that. The girl I'm dating, we were watching. She goes, "Oh, you got to see this movie. Everybody says that it's about hacking." So we had popcorn, and she turns it on. I'm watching it. 10 minutes into it, I'm like, "Nope, turn it off. I can't watch it. I'm too triggered." It's exactly. I go, "That's my business. That's exactly what I do."
Really?
Yes.
Yes.
That's exactly what I do.
Someone
What's
told me
in
this
that?
last night. They would not tell me what the movie was about. They're like,
Yeah.
you need to watch it. You just need to watch
I
it.
couldn't.
Oh, I
turned
watched
off.
it
It's
and
that
I was
bad.
screaming at the TV. And I was so angry.
Yes.
Because, no, it's like this guy, he is really, in that movie,
Yeah.
it shows you
It's real.
just
Yeah, it's real.
how
It's how it happens.
hurtful
Yeah.
it is when they take your information and they do this stuff and they don't care.
They don't care.
They go for the next person to the
They don't
next
care.
person for the next person. And then oh, wait a minute. What really got me about that movie,
Yep.
they had a whole daggone call center.
Yes. Like I was telling you guys, they have a call center.
They had a call center.
I believe it.
With all of these people on the phone, one after the other, like stealing these people's information.
Yep.
One after the other. A call center. And they had more than one location. They had a corporate office.
Yep.
That's
Customer service,
crazy.
800 number.
800 number.
I figure for them to be running these big scams, they have to have something like that.
Yeah.
But it's like, how do you have a legit business with like licenses and, well, maybe. You know, like-
Licenses?
Yeah, they do. They had
That's
they
crazy.
do. And then you should have seen the building they was in.
That's nuts.
The building that they were in, it made it look, I watched that movie and I was like, boy, I wish I could be in that movie and I can punch one of them with them. I was just like, I was on edge. And the reason why is because this is exactly what it is. You know, that movie, and I've always been weary of computers and stuff ever since I watched that movie.
Mm-hmm.
The Net.
Oh, yeah. Back in the day. Yeah, it was
that was an old one.
Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock.
Yep.
Oh,
And
I've
they
heard of this
took her
movie.
identity. They made her somebody that was a criminal.
Mm-hmm.
They put all of this stuff on her record where they pulled her up and she was some type of criminal.
Sure.
She didn't really have no family. Her mom had Alzheimer's. And these guys were able to go into the computer and change her whole identity and try to take her whole life. But she was a computer expert and she just used it against them. She sort of got her identity back because she knew what to do. But what about those people that don't?
Exactly. So there's the opposite of that too. Some good news about these bad guys, right? So the Beehive movie on Netflix is a fictitious, but it's real because it does happen like that. Well, there are some good guys. If you get a chance to go on YouTube and check out this group of ethical hackers, my community, we're a member of that group. Do a search for Scamming the Scammers.
Yeah.
Have you seen those on that?
I've
on
not
YouTube?
seen it. I've not seen it.
It's a group of ethical hackers, and what they do is they have boiler rooms as well. But what they do is they would get information they work with law enforcement, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they would get the 800 number, they'd call back the 800 number, and the bad guy on the other side says, "Thank you for calling Amazon customer service. Can I help you?" They're somewhere in India or Pakistan, right? "May I help you?" And they disguise their voice, pretending that they are a senior citizen that has no idea about computers, right? And they'll say, "I got this phone call on my voicemail that I need to, I have a purchase on my account for $1,000 from Amazon. I don't buy anything from Amazon. How could I get that removed?" And the person on the other side is so excited that they called. "No problem. We want you to go to this website." and then of course the ethical hacker says, sure, help us out, man. We got to get this off my account. I don't want to have this. Things are going to bounce over. My retirement fund going to be affected. How do I fix this? Well, go to this website. So they'll give them a name of a website. And there's so many different ones that are out there. So they'll give them a name of a website. They'll log into it, and I'll say, okay, great. When the site comes up, we'll give you a code to put in, and we'll help you work this transaction. Okay, great. So they enter the code, and then the screen pops up, and then the bad guy says, great, I can see your screen. Okay, hold on a second. Your screen will turn blue for a minute, but I'll get my manager to approve this transaction, right? When the screen turns blue, oh, by the way, before that, they've already they've manipulated the victim to bring up their, let's say, Bank of America account.
Yeah, the
Right?
personal stuff.
And look at the transactions. Checks that cleared. What they'll say is, hold on a second, I think I see it here. Hold on, let me get my manager out. Your screen will turn blue for just a second. What happens when the screen turns blue, you may want to try this at home with if you're on the website and you press the F12 key, you'll get on the right-hand side a list of HTML code. What they'll do is now they're logged into your computer, they will go into the HTML code and create a transaction for whatever they want, like $10,000, right?
Yeah.
And that it was 2 weeks ago or whatever. Then press the F12 again. When you look at your account, that transaction is there, but it only exists on your machine, not at the bank's.
Yeah.
So then they'll come back on the screen and says, okay, I got my manager here. Let's take a look at the transactions. Oh yeah, right there. You see that, Mrs. Fellman? That $10,000 for Amazon? That's where we made the mistake. We need to reverse that out. They're not reversing it out. When you go in there, you're sending it, right?
Yeah.
But you're seeing this on the screen.
Yeah.
So what the ethical hackers do in our community, what we do is that when they're logging into the computer, they're logging into what we call VMware, virtual machine.
Yeah.
It exists, but it doesn't exist.
It's like another computer running on a server somewhere
In the
else.
cloud, somewhere else. And then you look for the folders, and what do you see? It's like in outer space. You see nothing but black. There's nothing there. So the hackers can't put anything on your system or get anything.
Yeah.
But guess what we're doing while they put you on the blue
You're
screen?
pulling
Trying
their
to find out where
information.
they're at and
We
stuff.
hacked into their machine.
Yeah.
Downloaded records,
Yep.
information from that we can submit to law enforcement to go after these guys. And a lot of times you put malware in their machine and you call them back later and say, hey, great, we're going to turn on your cameras in your organization and see them.
Yeah.
So if you get a chance to take a look at it, it's great
It's really
to
funny.
see that.
I've heard this.
Yeah.
I've heard these stories.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
wow.
great to see the hacking the hackers.
I'm gonna really look at that because I love looking at stuff like that
Yeah.
because
It's satisfying.
you know,
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Satisfying.
and
yes.
I just hate, like right now, I just really hate these hackers,
Yeah,
because I just feel like, you're not even caring about. You're not caring about that person on the other side.
Nope.
They have a whole life, and people work very, very hard. They worked hard, for their retirement. Some of them worked, 20, 30 years, and then you're going and you're just like wiping it out. That's another reason why I have a stock account. But that's another reason why I don't like the stock market because, it fluctuates so much.
It does.
Number one, and these people that are older that's retiring, like within the past 4 or 5 years, they lost millions.
Yeah.
They probably had 500,000 or 600,000 in their 401k, and now they're retiring with just 100,000.
Yeah.
How is that fair?
Yeah. That's the risk, though. That's what they tell you, at least. That's like, well, that's why it's risky.
And it shouldn't be because I know, like every time all my 401ks, I always take them moderate way because I'm not a high risker, so it's like, no. And a lot of times I would prefer to put my money, I know I'm saying this on here, but I would prefer to put my money in the bonds, the government bonds, because I know I can't lose off of
Trust
it.
it.
I'm not going to make as much, but I'll make something, and at least my stuff is
True.
protected.
Yeah.
So I'd rather do something like that than, deal with it. Even though I do, put money there, I'm very, I'm very modest. Like it's certain ones.
And
Like,
that's the best way
hey,
to be.
just,
true.
oh yeah, buy this new energy stock. Nah, I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
Because it's like maybe $40 or $50 today and it'll drop down to $2 tomorrow. No.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I was not to get off topic, but like, have you been hearing these like pump and dump schemes with like crypto, especially?
Yeah. So
Oh, so what happened with
just gonna
that?
say that.
Long story short, because they're all exactly the same.
Yes.
But basically, they'll prop up a new crypto, get every a famous person will back it, a celebrity, and they'll say like, I'm putting my money in. You can trust me, so you put your money in. And then what happens is, have you ever heard of the prisoner's dilemma, where everybody puts money in, all the prisoners put whatever they have, and it says we're rich together. But technically speaking, any one of those people could just take the lion's share, walk out. He has all the money. No one else has money.
Right.
So the prisoner's
Ponzi.
dilemma is, will you put your money in with everybody else and hope no one else takes the pile? That's what these crypto schemes are. Everyone puts their money in. The famous person says it's not going to go away. And then a bunch of the big guys just take all of the money out. They pull out their shares once their shares are worth more. And then everyone's left with nothing.
Yeah, they were mad because of what happened to GameStop. Remember that?
The GameStop thing?
The GameStop.
Where they were playing the game?
The GameStop went down because all of the small investors invested in it, right? So the hedge fund guys were saying that, this GameStop, it's worthless. So everyone with a little bit of money put money into it, and they made millions. But who lost? Well, the hedge fund guys. They lost billions of dollars from this. A lot of them got fired in New York. It's the David and Goliath thing, where the small guy made money from it. But it's two things I'm going to cover with you real quick. Back to this. There's been a very serious cyber attack that happened a couple of weeks ago, Sheila, where every human in the United States, over 350 million people, all of our Social Security numbers now have been stolen. And it's available on the
dark net. Did you hear about
net.
this? It's huge.
Yeah, all
And
of
it's
their Social
available.
Security. It's available on the dark net for purchase. So you can go on the dark net, get the database, type in someone's name. You'll find their name and their Social Security number, all been exposed. And what they did is they hacked into a background check company, right? Does background checks, and they were able to steal all this information. That's bad. Second one.
How do we protect ourselves from that?
Oh, very good. Best way to protect yourselves right now is to everybody to do a credit freeze on all three credit bureaus, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. Go to them. It's free, and freeze your credit. Not just.
How do you do that?
You go online, and you'll get a PIN, and they offer multi-factor authentication. Make sure it's a PIN number. You freeze your credit, so if anybody tries to get anything in your name, a loan, a phone or whatever, they can't get it because the credit's frozen. And then when you need to purchase something, you have to go and unfreeze it. But also not just the adults, you should do your kids as well. Like 3-year-olds, 5-year-olds. Yes.
This doesn't freeze you from using your credit accounts. It frees you from adding or removing credit accounts.
Correct.
Okay.
It stops from adding or removing credit accounts. Now let's add one more little elephant in the room that's happening. AI.
I was gonna ask you about that.
Yes.
I wanted to.
So what's happening with that?
So what I was just prefacing it because you were mentioning about the transfer of risk.
Yes,
and you were
risk.
talking about how, like, where did these guys get all this information? Data brokers. Technically, there's nothing illegal about data brokers.
Correct.
But the people who do the illegal activities are only able to do this because of them.
Correct.
So there is some responsibility there, but they obviously abdicate that because the government protects them, whatever it is.
Correct. Because we gave their information, and because of an old thing called public access information.
Yeah.
You can go to the county and find out who owns what property, and that should be looked at again too. We should have change that.
You know what I watched?
Yeah.
We're gonna go back to the AI.
Yes.
Whatever.
We're leading up
But
to that.
I want to say this too, so you can touch on this too.
Yeah.
I just watched on the news. It was like a 60-minute, episode where they were talking about it. So you, Tim, you own a house. I know that you own it. I can go and I can put myself on your deed.
Home title fraud.
I
That's
can put
Yes.
and it doesn't take. All I have to do is go, pull the paperwork, fill it out, put your address on there, and add my name to the deed. Okay. They don't, and then pay the fees to have it registered that I am now a part owner of your house. Then with that, once that's done, I can go to the bank and take out a home equity loan because I'm on that deed. You don't know nothing about it.
That's right.
That's
And then,
crazy.
then, because you don't know nothing about it, you think you got this house and the equity, all of these people are losing their houses.
Yes.
And it's because there is no way, they don't ask you for no verifications when you add yourself to the deed. They don't ask you for none of that.
It used to be for
And
businesses
why?
too.
Why don't they do that?
Yeah, it used
why
to-
don't they add that?
It used to be for businesses as well, not just homes, also businesses. In other words, you do a business with someone, right?
Yeah.
And you can go to the Secretary of State's office and add your name as one of the principals of the account.
Yeah.
And you're paying the fee. The state, they'll take your money.
Yes.
You pay them the money, like $125 to be added. Right? Now you're added. You got the documents. You go into the business's bank, wherever the bank is, and say that, I'm a signer in this account. Here's the papers from the Secretary of State showing the affidavit I'm a part of it. I want to be added to a checking account. Give me a check. What's my balance? I'm going to take out the $1 million and withdraw the money from their account.
And then by the time they catch this, you've already run away with the money. And
Correct.
everything.
Yes.
You already
That's
got the money right away.
crazy.
So they're
And
saying
that's
they're
why it's
tightening up.
better.
Yeah.
It's better, and I'm going to say this, it's better to set your business up as a corporation. Because when you're a corporation, you have a board, and there's only, and I'm not going to say who it is, but there's only 2 people that can be added to the bank account.
Yeah,
smart.
2 signatures. Yeah.
It's only 2 signatures, and they have to hold a certain title.
Yes.
So,
And I know they can Google it, but it's more to it. And I'm not going to say that because I'm not going to give the crooks a way to do it. But when you're a corporation, you can't just go to the Secretary of State. You can add yourself, but you have to have a certain title, number 1. And then number 2, they always going to contact that president. They're always going to contact the president.
And that's why we're saying that we have to have in our society fire drills. So in our group of cybersecurity with law enforcement, we preach fire drills, that we talk to businesses to test all of this, like you were saying about the home equity for test the states, each county. Let's see what happens. Can that happen? And if so, what are the remedies? How can we fix this before the bad guys? Because I'm telling you guys, they're doing this.
Yes.
They're doing these drills and programs going, how can we manipulate? What group can we manipulate this week? Is it senior citizens? Is it hospitals? Is it casinos? Is it CPA firms.
Yeah.
Who is it? Can we manipulate?
Yeah.
And they go through these exercises and drills.
That's crazy. And then
That's another reason why I don't want to be big. Because if
No,
you're
it's
big, then they're going to
more
attack you
liability.
like crazy.
Yeah, true.
You know, and then you got to pay more. I'm already paying an arm and a leg for liability insurance.
Yeah.
What is it going to be if
A lot of these
you
companies are getting
grow?
those
Like,
big.
no,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
And that's going away too. A lot of this insurance too.
What?
Cyber liability insurance. A
Yeah.
lot of these insurance companies are going, okay, forget it, we're out. We just go back to protecting you in your car and your regular business.
Oh, they're
cyber
stopping it?
liability.
Yeah, 'cause
a
so
lot
much
of them are
risk.
stopping
Yeah.
because it's
Why?
It's so they'll give you a policy, let's say $2 million, but
Yep.
you'll get a $5 million loss,
Yeah.
and they're your friend. Remember what the job of insurance companies are. Insurance companies' job, folks, is to not pay claims.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's their job.
Yeah.
Not to pay a claim. So they will go and look and say, okay, great, you had this policy, this data breach in your company. What can, and you have a $2 million claim. Well, let's see what you guys didn't do. Oh, you didn't train the front desk person on cyber liability. They have that training in what, a year? Denied.
They're not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Their job is not to pay it.
Yep.
And if
Yeah.
they do pay it, guess what happens next month?
They
You get a
call-
notice
you-
in the mail that they canceled
they
you.
canceled you.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're not
Yeah,
your
they
friend.
canceled you.
So
Yeah.
it's and these bad guys know this.
So now let's go back to the
Yeah, the
AI.
AI.
I was gonna ask about
Sure.
that because the thing is like, okay, so obviously we already still have problems with like the equity fraud and all that kind of thing and
Yeah,
everything
yes.
like that. So now that we have new generative AI, it's
Mhm.
not just something you could sign up for an account.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know this. This year is the big year of AI. They're gonna put it in iOS 18 on your phones.
Yep.
They're gonna put
They're going to put what?
AI. It's gonna be built into your phone.
In other words, Siri and Google and Alexa, they're going to get an upgrade. They work like kindergartners right now.
Yeah.
In this analogy, with generative AI, they'll work like a college professor.
It can
That's
almost-
how much knowledge
It
they'll
can
have.
almost think for itself in a
Yes.
way, at least emulate thought.
Yep.
And the thing that's scary now, this is what they're telling us for security reasons. All of
Mhm.
this is going to be on device. It's only working with your information. But the only way AI really works well is when it knows who you are.
Right. It has to ingest everything about you.
All
All of
your-
our podcasts that we do, the books that you write,
Mhm.
all information that about you online, AI can emulate you. It can actually take.
Wait a minute.
avatar of you.
Ain't that why the freaking
Which one?
the movie stars was
Yeah,
Yeah,
complaining
'cause
about
they
that.
they're
were
like this.
complaining
They
and
were
they were
create- yep.
picketing
and that's going to
and
happen.
walking off the set.
That's just
Yeah.
the start of it. It's the AI is starting to take their likeness from an image or whatever,
Yep.
or movies that they've so much media of them,
Yep.
and putting it on other people, or people who are just like they're going on live streaming on Twitch and YouTube,
Mhm.
and they're pretending to be these famous people and then
Oh
saying
yeah.
terrible things. Obviously, this is a presidential year, so they're trying to make the other candidate look
Sure,
bad, all
sure.
that kind of stuff. That's just the start of AI. This is just making yourself look like somebody. What if you can actually pretend to be them virtually and have access to all of their numbers or whatever?
But
it
you
is?
can.
That's
You
going to
can
be a
do it.
problem.
You can do
Mhm.
it. Yeah, you can do it now.
Because they could go out there and sound and talk like me
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
and have
Exactly.
a client just
Yeah.
give everything.
Exactly like you. Yeah, they could sound like you. Well, so that's the negative part. But this,
Exactly. This is positive to AI.
how they're trying to sell it,
Yeah.
how they're trying to sell this whole AI thing is that as speakers, right? Now our agents can book us virtually 4 or 5 places at the same time, making, $5,000 to $15,000 a presentation, but it's our avatar doing it and it's our AI. So now your avatar looks like you. Before you do the gig, you can pick the outfit you want to wear,
Mhm.
right? The pearls you want to wear, how your hair should be done, the earrings you want. Yeah, I want that. Okay, send that to Baltimore. Oh, yeah, I'll send this AI over to LA. Oh, send this AI over to Boston. And now they're presenting
Yep.
That
your
makes you.
voice.
And
That-
you can give
oh
them
my
a
God.
test script that you're planning on saying and stuff like that, and it'll try and emulate the way you would say it.
and it use your voice, and it works well. So, and one more good thing, there's a congresswoman out of Virginia.
To me, that's making it lazy.
She has
I hate that.
cerebral palsy. She has cerebral palsy, a congresswoman. She can't speak, right, because of the disease. Meaning technicians use AI to emulate her voice by gathering all the speeches that she's done. And now when she presents on the congressional floor in D.C., she uses the AI, and it's her voice because she cannot speak.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing that it's doing.
There's fantastic things that it's doing with AI, of like even little fun things for kids and stuff like that, like taking photos. I don't know if you saw, this is a dumb thing that Google did, that like you could take a photo, and when you're not in the photo because you're the one who took
I
it,
did see that one.
it'll hold the frame, and then you could just walk in, take a photo next to them, and like half the time it looks like you were standing there with them the entire time. Fun little things to like.
They did that with celebrities.
Yeah.
Of their younger self and older self, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They
See
did
that
do
one?
too. Yeah. Where they're like
At
emulating.
18, and then you're at 80, and you're like hugging
Standing like you're next to
yourself,
each other and
and it
stuff
looks
like
like
that.
you're standing to.
Yeah, and you're
Like
looking
each
at your
other.
like 40-year-old self, and you're only 18. You're just barely like a new actor, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's fun. Some of it is fun and
Fun,
completely innocent.
But I tell
It's
people
scary
not.
to me, though.
I tell people not to do it, especially these little apps that you see on social media that says, "Hey, let's take a picture of you and create your avatar."
Yep.
No, don't do it, because what you're forgetting about is that you're giving them your personal information.
You're giving them your
Information.
It's the
likeness.
same thing.
Yeah.
Just giving them your likeness. They
Yeah.
don't have rights for it. We have to protect
So
it.
if they don't do it that way, how do they get the avatar?
You have to consent.
Walk down the street. Sheila's walking out of a building and thinking, bang, took a picture of Sheila Williams. Now I got
That's
a
the bad
picture.
version of it. That's what they're doing. They
Yep.
could take a photo without
Boom,
your
photo,
consent.
and then take that photo back to the lab
Yep.
and create the avatar of Sheila, grab all of her voice from her
Well, how is
podcast.
IA? How are they doing it?
That's how
That's
AI
how
is
they're doing
doing
it.
A-
Yeah.
AI,
They only
I'm
need
saying.
one photo to
Yeah.
start. Yeah.
Yeah, so it is one photo to start, but they can gather it from finding all your social media,
Yeah.
how you move.
So
how
they're
your head
looking at
grows.
because I know that I have it with the what was it, the GP chat or whatever.
Chat GPT.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Chat GPT.
Mhm.
I pay for them to, like do things like using my how I speak and how I,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they're already looking at that.
Right, and
kind
that's
of
the beginning of
information.
it. Apple's
to-
talking now about having our own personal GPT.
Yeah.
And how it's going to work in the future is that right now, when you type in something to Chat GPT, your information is being ingested by servers that everybody has access to, right? But now corporations are saying, well, we love to use generative AI, but we want to have our own private information. So now they're going to have, Apple especially, is going to have servers where the AI would go out and grab stuff and bring it back in to help the company, but it won't allow other people to get information from
I
it.
would like that. I would
Your own
sign up.
private.
Yeah.
I would sign up for that in a second.
But see, we're in the beginning. They're working with the security. It's still
Yeah.
going to be
Yeah.
a little before
And
laws
who
are
has
in place and
access
stuff
to
like
the
that.
whole-
Yeah. And this is all just new territory, and it's kind of
Yeah.
it's fun, but it's also very scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But one thing I'm learning about Brooks is that they, like me going to school to be an accounting, it used to be where you could take your CPA exam.
Yes.
I think it was at 120 hours.
Mhm.
And then that Enron thing
Yes.
happened. And because that happened, anyone that was coming in the field was punished because now you have to take all of these ethical classes and,
Right.
and things like that. And then they hired it to 150 credit hours
Right.
in order for you to be able to sit for the CPA. And it wasn't a problem for me because I had got my master's and everything. But then going through all of that, I can remember having the conversation like, okay, so because one CPA or whatever it is that happened did this, now we all have to be punished for that.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
And we have to take all of these extra classes in order for us to take an exam that only allows us to practice in one state, right? And I said, and now they have it on their record that they done it, but they can still go out and practice
Yeah.
being a CPA. Why don't you guys start stripping them of their license the way you do attorneys? Y'all disbar them. But instead, no, y'all don't want to do that. Y'all want to bring it on to people like us that want to go into the field. What sense does that make?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. And one thing that I have learned, because I am a very observant person, you can spend hours upon hours creating protection for a certain thing, and that thief is probably 2 or 3 years ahead of you.
Yeah.
They haven't
Oh, yeah.
already figured it out.
Cat and
the whole
mouse.
job.
So,
That's the whole
what are we really doing? What are we really doing?
Mhm.
You know, and I know that it's annoying that these, hackers can go out there and do that. But these hackers are smart and they way ahead of us.
Mhm.
What are we going to do about that?
That's because they do it, practice fire drills. We
Yeah.
need to do the same thing.
Yeah.
We need to do the same thing. Or help organizations like my organization, our nonprofits and companies we belong to study them and always have backup plans. So that's basically what we need to do.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So tell the people how they can start doing these things with your company and practicing.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Well, let me give you some information, Sheila, about my company, how to get a hold of me. I have to run here in a minute.
No, you're good. You're good.
I
Yeah.
have another appointment I have to get to.
I know we were running a little long.
Yeah, no problem. Love this. This is great. Definitely get a hold of me, Sheila, as well. You can go to my website at mackjacksonjr.com. Name of my company is Vanderson Cyber Group. And I'm so excited to work with you, Sheila, and in the future here, getting
Yes.
businesses trained and understanding the risks, the responsibilities of cybersecurity awareness.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you can't get in contact with him, you can always hit me up. And you guys, you can even hit us up on the podcast. And we'll
Absolutely.
get you Mack's information because it's important for us to do those. We need to start practicing.
Yep.
And he's my family, so he already helped me. Now y'all got to get in.
Absolutely. Definitely help each
So
other,
we
Sheila.
thank you so much, Mack, for
Thank you,
coming.
Sheila.
And this is a very good
Yeah.
informational, podcast.
Appreciate that.
And, I'm going to end it the way that I always end it, See, that's why I had him on here because he has a lot of information and he has a lot of knowledge. And remember, having the knowledge and having the information, it is useless if you're not sharing. So if you have some information that you want to share and you want to sit on this couch, please hit us up. We're excited. We want the world to know all about businesses and the fumbles, everything. We want to shine a light on all of it so that we can become a better society and better business owners.